Welcome back to the show, guys. I have an exciting show in store for you today because today is the day I interview my very first guest. Woohoo! And more on that and her awesome self in a second. But if you are joining in for the first time, my name is Marlena Banks, and I am your host of the Big Idea Food podcast, where we teach you practical tools from a Christian perspective that help you build and grow your business. And so if you've actually been on my email list for a little while, you know that I have dubbed 2020 as the year we get our minds right, okay? But if you're new to the Big Idea Food family, welcome, first of all. I'm so excited to have you and bring you along this journey of elevating our mindsets together. It is Mindset 2020 all year long. So throughout this season of the show, I'll be sharing deeper insight into how to activate our mindsets to help us actually achieve all that God has for us to achieve in business and in life this year. So you can always catch up by checking out episode 1, which you can find right now on our YouTube channel. So definitely subscribe to that if you haven't already. And also subscribe to the email list. That's where I send out fresh new devotional every single Tuesday. And when you join, you will also get a link to read the first newsletter of 2020 that I sent out that will really break down why I decided to focus on mindset this year and kind of the journey that led up to that. So that'll give you a little bit more context too as to, what we're going to be really focusing in on this season. But like I said, in a nutshell, I will be walking you through my own journey of leveling up my mindset and how doing so is helping me achieve my business goals and personal goals. And I'll be sharing specific tactics, methods, things that I'm using, trying, what's working, what isn't working, all along the way. I will also be interviewing some amazing, amazing guests who have expertise in mindset as it relates to everything from therapy to physical health, our well-being, our relationships, our money, all of the things. And that is my goal, to really give you a well-rounded perspective that can really help you take charge and take ownership over your mindset. So if you can't tell already, the Big Idea Food podcast has all your mindset needs covered this year. So if you haven't already, again, go ahead and subscribe now so you can stay in touch, because this nutrition that I got coming to y'all is super lit. So super excited. And I know for a fact that this content is going to bless you tremendously and be a significant source of not only the inspiration you need to level up your mindset this year, but also the practical tools and action steps you need to do so. So now, y'all, this is my favorite part. Let me introduce you to someone who is very dear to my heart, someone who I knew from the minute that I felt God leading me to talk about mindset this year, like she was the first person on my mind. I was like, I got to get Kristin on the show because she is going to help so many people by sharing her knowledge. And so I could not be any more ecstatic about her agreeing to be on the show. She is somebody that I have dubbed her as my therapist when I'm ready to go ahead and make that investment. And so, if somebody is on, or if there's somebody that I like and would use for myself, I feel good about sharing them with you guys. So she is awesome. This is my homegirl. She's a Christian, y'all. Super dope. Her faith is infused in just everything she does in business and in life. So literally, she is the person that I really wanted to talk to. And that's why I really wanted her to be my first guest, because she just covers so much expertise in this area. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that she is going to be a major blessing to you guys. So get ready. Without further ado, I am talking about none other than the phenomenal Kristin Sutton, or Kristin Winchester. She just got married. Congratulations, boo. And just to read her official bio for you guys, Kristin Winchester is a licensed therapist and mindset coach, speaker, host of the DFBG Mindset podcast, and owner of Her Therapy Space, a mental health private practice in Washington, D.C. She partners with ambitious women of color entrepreneurs and professionals to break the negative thought patterns keeping them from success so they can live out their purpose with excitement, and confidence. She believes that we have the power to choose and create the life we desire, and it all starts with our thinking. With over 8 years experience in the human services field, Kristin has helped hundreds of people shift their ways of thinking in order to live a life they once didn't think was a possibility. Kristin has been featured in Essence, Cosmopolitan, CNN Money, Rolling Out, HuffPost, and a number of other platforms. Y'all, do me a favor and welcome my dear friend Kristin to the show. And I need to unmute Kristin if I can find her on the screen. One second. Oh, there you are. I couldn't find you. Welcome to the show, Kristin.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yes.
Hey, ladies.
Yes, I'm so excited. Like I said, to have you here. Hopefully you can tell I'm just beyond pumped, and just for so many things. Like, I have been following you since the debt-free Black girl days, and just always thought you were somebody that I would love to connect with, and just get to know. You know what I'm saying? You see a dope Christian out here doing it. And, it's just crazy how, God has kind of led our paths to connect, even more intimately than we have before, and more intentionally. And you were able to feature me on your show. Amazing podcast, y'all. If you don't already subscribe to the DFBG Mindset podcast, definitely hit that up. But yeah, we just have continued to grow in relationship with each other. And I just love it.
Yes, it's a blessing to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to pour into your audience the same way you did mine. So let's get it. I'm ready.
Yes. And I'm super excited because now I have you in my guest chair, and I get to pick your
I'm
brain.
nervous.
Y'all, when she had me on the podcast, I felt like I went through a therapy session. Like, it was a legitimate therapy session. I was like, girl, do I need to send me the invoice? Cause you got me out here connecting dots and everything.
That's what I do.
You do it well, my dear. You do it well. So, yeah, I just want to kind of kick off with, I have a list full of questions to ask. I don't even know if we'll be able to get through all of them, but starting off, I just kind of want to start to get to know you a little bit and help my audience get to know you. So tell us, who was 9-year-old Kristin? What was she up to? What was she like? Was she always as jazzy with, the dope hair and fashion? Like, was she entrepreneurial at all? Tell me a little bit about you growing up.
Okay, so I think in ninth grade, not ninth grade, 9 years old, I think I was in third grade, and I was very shy and really self-conscious about my body. I remember trying to go out for a dance squad and ultimately giving up and quitting before even really diving into it because I just felt so self-conscious. Yeah. So I was probably in the corner a lot of the times in class and things like that. I was a really good student, and I just didn't follow the crowd. Like, I was probably so really independent and just not a follower, and just kind of did my own thing, kind of free spirited. My fashion sense, I think I was cute, a little cute, but I didn't have that much autonomy with what I wore. I think my mother kind of handled that until I got a bit older. But she always put me in some cute outfits, and I was not entrepreneurial then. That didn't really start until down the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my mom said that she saw some leadership qualities in me when I was that young. So, I can kind of connect the dots there.
Okay. So the leadership was there at an early age, the just doing your own thing. So tell me about, how did you kind of get into entrepreneurship? Was it on purpose? Did you stumble into it? Walk us through what that journey looked like for you.
So I think I've always known that I didn't really want to be tied down to a job. I didn't really like the idea of having to clock in somewhere day in and day out and not really having much autonomy and not really having much of a voice to literally do what I wanted. And I found that early on after college. I graduated in '07, and into my first job, I kind of got bored after some time. And I always found myself getting bored with jobs after a certain amount of time. Even if it was something that I liked doing, I always found that it was something about it restricting me from really flourishing and, being called to what God has called me to do ultimately and walking in my purpose fully. And entrepreneurial journey started for me around 2010, 2011 when I was in grad school. I started a business called Chrissy's Closet, where I sold clothes literally out of my closet at first, literally clothes out of my closet. People were always asking me where I got clothes from and was really excited about seeing my outfits. And I'm like, I can make some money off of this. So I literally slapped some clothes on a website, figured it all out on my own. I think I started on Big Cartel or something. And then I started thrifting and selling clothes that I thrifted. And then I started styling and doing other things from there, having events, pop-up shops and things. And from that point on, I'm like, this is the life. Like, I can't turn back. There's no going back. But I was still in school for psychology and working that because I knew I always wanted to be in the mental health field. But I didn't really think past, okay, going to school, getting into some type of agency, and then just working for years on end without really exploring that entrepreneur side. Like, I didn't really think that I could actually own a practice and really, be creative in the mental health space. And I'm so glad that I've recognized that I can be, because here we are now. 8, 9 years later, and I'm actually doing what I didn't think I could do that many years ago. So I'm blessed to be here.
Wow. See, I didn't even know all of the sort of fashion background
Uh-huh.
that was a part of your upbringing. But when I just look at you today, I'm like, she's just so stylish. I just love her whole entire style. So interesting.
Thank
I didn't
you.
know about that whole piece. So okay, so let's just I just want to kind of break down what happened because you were doing the fashion thing while in school and doing mental health. So you were realizing that entrepreneurship was something you're into, and then mental health. So then there's like debt free Black girl. So like how did that come into being? And then how did you can also walk us through like how you transitioned from debt free Black girl to now being focused full time on your therapy practice.
Yeah, so like I said, I was in grad school when I was doing Chrissy's Closet. And when I finished grad school in 2013, I was in a relationship and we packed up everything and moved from DC to Atlanta with no plan in place. And in Atlanta, I hit rock bottom and got into a bout of depression. I struggled with depression while I was down there, gained 40 pounds. The relationship was a toxic mess. And I was just so down in the dumps. All I did was eat all day, sleep all day, did nothing with my time. And I ultimately gave up on my business. I had boxes and boxes of clothes in the spare room just stacked up. I went down to Atlanta thinking I was going to do pop-up shops and network and really flourish in the business arena, but that was not the case because my mental health was shot. Like, I was struggling. So financially, mentally, in every area of my life, I literally hit rock bottom when I was in Atlanta. And it wasn't until 2014 when I basically got evicted from my apartment in Atlanta, where I packed up everything and moved back to DC. And that's when I really started thinking about, okay, something is off within my mind, my frame of thinking that has me doing some of the things I was doing when I was in Atlanta. Like, I was dead broke, had no job, but I was still standing in line overnight for Jordans, still spending my money, the little bit of money that I had, I was spending it frivolously. And I'm like, something ain't right. So I have got to get myself together. And when I got back to DC in 2014, I really started working on my own finances, working on my physical health, lost the weight, paid off 10K in debt in a matter of months from basically paying zero. I wasn't, keeping up with my bills at first, but I got laser focused, and it started with a shift in my thinking. So fast forward to 2016, God laid it upon my heart one day when I was laying in bed that the the Black community is struggling when it comes to finances. And every time I'm looking up financial literature online, I'm seeing old white men, and I'm like, there has to be some other um, resources out there. And I'm like, I can create one. Like, he literally dropped it in my spirit, gave me the name in that moment, Debt Free Black Girl. And that's from just my own experiences and really wanting to share what I learned along the way online on a bigger platform, and just literally started from zero, got on Instagram, started from 0 followers, and just build it from there. And I didn't expect that it would grow to what it did.
Wow. And, like I said, that's kind of where I came along. I think I must have come along on the tail end of your debt-free Black girl journey. Cause it was probably like 2017, 2018, maybe a little bit, when I started following you, and, again, loved what you were doing. So when you were operating Debt-Free Black Girl, what were your offerings, and then kind of what led to your decision to ultimately kind of pivot, right? You had a very big, abrupt almost pivot from Debt-Free Black Girl to the therapy practice. So walk us through kind of what led up to that pivot, and, why you decided to do that.
Yeah, so with Debt Free Black Girl, I had a few courses. I had my signature course was called Be Debt Free, and I actually did a hybrid program. I did some coaching in that as well within the course. And in my work, in my personal finance coaching, I realized that a lot of these women, a lot of the times we're talking on the phone and we're not even talking about money. We're talking about their relationship issues. We're talking about their self-image and self-esteem. We're talking about all of these things that kind of tied into how they showed up with managing their money. So I'm like, I'm equipped with the tools to actually walk them through that other stuff so that their finances could shift as a result, right? So I was like, it's much bigger than just finances. Like, I am trained as a therapist, a licensed therapist, to help these women in these areas. And I wanted to look at things on a more holistic approach and incorporate all of those into the work that I was doing. And once that mindset thing is, shifted, everything else will start falling into place as a result, right? All of those other areas of their lives will, shift as a result of them really getting down to the root of why they're feeling the way they're feeling. What are some thoughts that are making them feel the way they feel? And then, okay, how can we make some changes? How can we start refuting some of these belief patterns? How can we start challenging those things and really reframing your way of thinking so that you can behave in different ways?
Yes. Woo, y'all, listen. I mean, she said it right there. We have the tendency to think that this surface problem is our problem. I need to grow my business, or my money is funny, or I'm struggling in my relationships. And you're thinking like, okay, let me get help to grow my business, or financial help, or relationship help, when the core of all of it, and this is what I'm learning more than I ever have before, is that mindset piece. So I really love how, you were, and I'm sure, God just kind of working in you, like, listen, I need you to do a little bit more for my people.
That's literally how it happens, sis. Like, pivoted late 2018, like out the blue. Stopped. I had just launched a program called Skyrocket Your Success, a coaching program. And I probably had like 1 or 2 clients in that, and he was like, you got to really put this out there. You got to really, because I was like testing the waters a bit to see, okay, I was a little scared, and I know, with I had some own insecurities and mental hurdles that I had to get through with making this transition. So I had to test the waters a bit with, getting a couple of beta clients to see if this is something that I could really do. And I'm like, why wouldn't I be able to do this? I do this every single day in my real life. Like, why wouldn't I be able to make this a business? And he really had to check me, like, you're an expert at this. This is your expertise. Like, you've been training for so many years in this field, in this arena, why wouldn't you be able to be successful? Why would I drop this in your spirit if it wasn't something that you were called to do or meant to do?
Mm, say that again. Why would I drop this in your spirit if this wasn't something I equipped you and called you to do?
Right. And I see so many people like struggling with, is this something I should be doing, or am I good enough for this? And it's like God called you to it for a reason. Like he's going to make sure that you have everything that you need to succeed in that area. You just got to take that leap of faith and step out there. And that's essentially what I had to do, regardless of what fear I felt or what I thought people may think of me making this huge shift in my business. Just had to do it. You just have to take that leap.
Yes, yes. And talk to me about, what do you feel like enabled you to have the faith to take your leap? Because, and I just wrote about this in my newsletter today, a lot of times we are making, making excuses. Like, I need clarity, I need this, I need that, before I do this. And what I said in the email is like, you don't need more clarity, sis. You need faith. You need to grow your faith. And really, we do that in relationship with God, right? So, what do you think in your personal experience helped you even have that level of relationship with him to where you could trust him and believe enough that he would sustain you in this leap?
Right. And you make a good point. Like I had to build my relationship with him. So I made sure that I was, spending more time with him on a daily basis. Because at one point I was not, especially when I was in my deep depression and going through. I don't think I was calling on God for real. And I was just really miserable as a result. And I had to really work on building my faith and strength and that relationship. And like I said, he would just keep giving me these reminders. And I was like trying to hesitate or trying to, like you said, make excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how many more excuses am I going to make before I take this leap? Like, what's the worst that could happen if I just went for it? Like, he's telling me this for a reason. He's telling me to make this shift for a reason. Like, these people are struggling out here, and he's calling me to be of help to them, to be of service. So I can't be scared, because it's not about me. It's not about me. I have to serve. And in order to serve, I have to show up. So let me get out here and stop playing with myself and do this work.
Ooh, that's so good. That is so, so good. And I love that, not only can our faith with God be that motivator to help us take that leap, but also getting outside of ourselves and thinking about the people he's called us to help and to serve. If you're listening right now and you're struggling with, can I do this? Should I do it? Oh, I'm scared. Whoopty whoop. Think about that person. You know what I'm saying? Think about that individual who's out there walking around in the world right now who is missing out on what you have to offer them because you out here too scared to offer it. And I think that's where God's mind is in a lot of ways. Of course, he's working on you and developing you in this process of calling you out into the deep and to entrepreneurship. But at the same time, he has a purpose for you, and it's inside those other people. He wants you to help them, and he's placed things inside of you to help them. So I love that. If you're looking for another way to motivate yourself or get over that fear, start thinking about other people besides you, because like Kristin said, your calling, your gifting ain't about you. It ain't about you. It's about the people that you're called to serve. Okay.
I had to stop. I had to stop and ask myself, why are you being so selfish?
Mm,
A lot of times we're
that's it.
being self-conscious and thinking that all of these people are judging us or thinking these things about us, when actually nobody cares. Nobody cares. And it's like, why am I looking so inwardly? You know what I mean? Like and I think that's those insecurities that have us, looking within ourselves and really pulling these things out. And it's just like, sis, no one cares. Just do you. Just do you. Everybody is trying to figure it out. Everybody is trying to do them. You know what I mean? Nobody is really focusing on you that much to where they're going to sabotage your business or sabotage your success. You're the only one that can do that by not putting yourself out there.
Period.
Period.
Woo, y'all, she coming for next today, y'all. Okay, selfish. Like that is a real perspective, though. It is selfish, and you don't realize it's selfish. You're thinking because you're thinking of yourself so much. But yes, to keep holding on to your gifts and not give them away. That's what gifts are for, is to be given. That is
Yep.
so that is the definition. I love that. Thank you for that perspective. I think you just
No problem.
a lot of people with that. So, you know, tell me a little bit more about what exactly you do, because I know that you, with your practice now, you focus on helping women of color entrepreneurs, help retrain their minds. And so tell me what your offerings are specifically, asking for a friend. But let me know what your offerings are. And I want to kind of talk more about what you do as a therapist, because this is a world that I'm new to realizing I need, so I really want to pick your brain about this world of therapy.
Okay, so I actually, offer regular therapy sessions, of course. That's my main offering right now. And I also have a coaching program called Skyrocket Your Success. I just haven't launched it in a while. I haven't had a launch in a while there, but I'm thinking about actually turning it into some type of other offering, maybe a group program or some type of guided course or something. I don't know. So that's coming in the pipeline this year. But my main focus right now are my regular therapy sessions. And then I do want to get into having monthly workshops and events, whether it be virtually or in person in DC. For therapy, when you ask me what do I actually do as a therapist, I'm essentially a problem solver. I help people, solve problems, whether it's relationship issues, work-related stress, or anxiety around business. What else? Self-esteem issues, a range of things, right? People come to me for mainly those things, anxiety around certain things in their lives, their relationships, and work or business. And I help them sort through their problems and really get into the root of why they're feeling the way they're feeling, because I ultimately believe how we think impacts how we feel and behave as a result. So we're examining those thought patterns that cause those feelings and those actions that follow that, and then challenging them in a sense if they are unhelpful and irrational, and really making sure that they are equipped with the right mindset that they need to go flourish in every area of their lives.
That's I just love it. It's so necessary. I am like so ready for this. So, when, my audience is largely, people in entrepreneurship, right? They have a business, and, for that person who is an entrepreneur who may be experiencing some things, I'm just curious, like, what are some of those typical mental blocks and things that you're hearing from entrepreneurs specifically, or hurdles that they're facing, or things that they're typically coming to you to get help with?
I'm not valuable. I'm not good enough. Imposter syndrome, perfectionism, procrastination. Like, right, I feel that there's always a root to procrastination. Like, if it's something that we're excited about doing or something that we don't feel any fear around, we're going for it. We're not procrastinating on that thing. So getting down to the root of why am I procrastinating on this specific task or on this specific business, afraid of putting themselves out there and being judged, having an actual audience, putting their work out there for people to see and criticize, afraid of failure, afraid of success. I've heard of people say that they're afraid of success.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of that in working with entrepreneurs. and really getting down to why do you feel that way? Like, let's scale it back a bit. And I'm asking a ton of questions to get down to that why. So it sounds like a bit like this. So for instance, with imposter syndrome, right? That's feeling like a fraud or feeling like you're not, you know, able to do the work that God has called you to do. But like I said earlier, he wouldn't have called you to do that work if you weren't able to do it. He would have passed you right along and went to somebody else, the next person, and gave them that purpose, right?
Right.
So with imposter syndrome, I typically ask people, okay, give me a background or a history of some of the things that you have accomplished up until this point, right? And they're able to list out a ton, a ton of accomplishments and a ton of things that are relevant to the actual purpose or the business idea that they have or the business that they've been operating in. And it's like, why aren't you qualified for this? Like, why do you feel like you aren't qualified? And you're literally telling me that you've accomplished X, Y, and Z. So, and I think a lot of people don't take out the time to recognize their accomplishments or actually acknowledge the things that they have done over the years. So I really get people to just start thinking back to how bomb they are, what they've been able to accomplish, what God has really equipped them with over the years so that they can do this work. Like, why not you? Why not me to do this work?
Okay,
Like,
y'all. Y'all just got a free mini therapy session. So I hope y'all are taking notes.
ah!
Ooh, I love it. Ooh, come through. Imposter syndrome. We are not having that any further. I love that. That's so good. Ooh, that's so good. So
I,
yeah,
I also see one more thing. I see people who are afraid of charging premium prices.
that part. That part. And so how do you help them with that? And I think, and I see the link between imposter syndrome and that too. So how do you help work them through that as well?
Right. And I think a lot of that is rooted in their financial upbringing. So I did this with Debt Free Black Girl with my clients, like really getting down to how their money mindsets were shaped over the years. And a lot of times, especially in the African American community, what I've seen is that a lot of people weren't taught about finances, or especially in the Christian community, you know, feeling like, oh, rich people are evil, money is the root of all evil, and you're hearing all of these things, and that puts that in your spirit that money is bad, or it's bad to be making money and being successful. But God says it in His Word that He wants us to live an abundant life. He doesn't want us to be out here struggling and broke.
Preach.
Like he doesn't want you charging $20 for something that should be $2,000. And I see a lot of people, you know, shortchanging themselves because they're, like you said, it's tied into how they view themselves, and they don't see themselves as valuable enough. But you're the one, when you're putting out a product, right, or a service, and you're putting it out there for $20, what kind of way of thinking do you think that's going to attract, or what type of people do you think that's going to attract? And whether something is $20 or $2,000, it really doesn't matter. But you're putting that label on it, right? So if it's something that you're packaging up and putting your expertise in, and really, you know, doing that work to make sure that it's going to actually serve someone, they got to pay. They got to pay up. Like, you have spent so many years, whether it's through personal experience. Like I said, with Debt Free Black Girl, I didn't have any financial background. I didn't go to school for finances, or I wasn't really taught about finances growing up, but I lived through the trenches. Like, I went through the trenches. I was deep in financial turmoil, and I had to pull myself out. And that time and experience is invaluable. Like, why wouldn't I put a price tag, a nice hefty price tag on that? Like, I'm saving you from having to go through the struggle. Like that's
Exactly.
priceless. That's priceless. Who wouldn't want to invest in something like that? And it's like, if people are called to you, right? If they know that you're the one that they should be working with, they don't care what the price is. They're gonna make it happen regardless. So put that price tag on it and attract the people that you were meant to attract, and repel all those other people. Those fake. I ain't even gonna get
Yes.
into that.
Girl, listen, no, you're right. Attracting the right people or repelling the wrong people is just as important as
Yeah.
attracting the right people. That is so, so good, y'all. Like, I hope y'all are like receiving these nuggets right now because she is dropping all of the gems. No, like seriously. And I love that you really broke that down and your value down in terms of how you see and structure your pricing, because and Guy had to deal with me on this. Like I had a client just recently, and I a person booked a discovery call, and it was crazy because I felt in my spirit that God wanted me to charge them like the first time I would charge like my premium price. And I felt him saying, charge the price. And I'm just like, I don't want to do it. And it's like, first of all, I need to work with Kristin to help me figure out why that was such a struggle.
Yeah.
But, what he really spoke to me through that is, you don't understand, like you said, the type of people that only want to pay you $20, like they're not the type of people that are ready for the transformation that you have to provide to them or the value that you have to provide to them. And if they're not ready for it, they're not going to do nothing with it. And it's a waste of everybody's time. But, when somebody is ready to actually invest in you, that them investing in you, especially when they have to invest something that is a push and a challenge to them, right? That is helping them activate their faith, all right, for what you're doing and offering to them. So that means when it's time to work, they're going to come ready to work, right? They're not wasting your time. And they're actually going to implement what you're helping them achieve. So, there's two sides to the story. And that's, like I said, that's why I felt like God was leading me to charge that price, because if you don't charge that price, she's not going to have the same level of faith in this session that I need her to have. And
Right, because you don't even have the faith in this session.
listen, yes, yes, that's
Like,
it.
how you gonna expect your client to show up if you're not even showing up for
Yes.
your own business?
Girl, listen, if that ain't the word, we have to demonstrate the example that we're trying to help other people achieve in their lives. And whew, okay, y'all, we weren't even supposed to talk about pricing today, but that was for somebody. Somebody needed that. Woo, that is so good. So, okay, I feel like I just want to dive into all of the intricacies, but I know we got to keep rolling. So I really wanted to touch on, because you really brought up some good points about us growing up Christians in the church. There are a lot of taboo issues that we experience around money, but I also wanted to kind of bring up the tabooness of therapy, right? So many of us, I feel like therapy is just now becoming something that is more talked about in the church than it has been even as recent as in the last 5-10 years. Therapy was always looked at, especially in the Black community, as, we don't do that. My pastor got me, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm gonna pray it away, whatever the issue is. And so, growing up, a lot of us, especially this millennial generation, which is a lot of who my audience is, and above, we therapy is this new beast, right? And so, you know, I'm just curious, I wanted to hear your perspective, especially as a Christian woman in business who's been called to really support people through the role of therapy. How do you see it, or what perspective do you have in terms of how it fits in with our program of, prayer, attending church, and having faith in God? And, I really want you to just speak to someone who may even be struggling in their minds about, is God okay with me even going to therapy versus just praying or going to my pastor, for example?
I think that if God wasn't okay with it, it wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be a field. And I look at it the same way as we look at medical doctors and going to get help there. We can pray all day, right? But if we got a broken arm, what we gonna do? Just sit there and pray about it? God wants us to move. He wants us to take action, and He has provided us with this resource to do so. Faith and therapy go together, go hand in hand, and they are not mutually, exclusive. And like I said, I think a lot of it stems from just being um, not educated on what therapy actually is, and having that stigma around it. I think, especially back in the day, you think if you go to therapy, you're crazy, or like you have to have this extreme mental illness in order to see a therapist. And that's just not the case. Like I said, we're talking about regular, everyday things in here. Like today, I problem solve with someone, helping them figure out what's their next move in their career and their business, literally writing it out on paper. Like I said, it's problem solving, and a lot of people just don't know what therapy is about, and they think that just praying, just praying to God is actually, helpful. And when it is helpful, but He says in the word, faith without works is dead, right? So we have to take action on doing that work that we need to heal, or to like I said, problem solve, bounce things off of somebody who is objective and unbiased, because we have these people in our lives. We have family, we have friends, we have pastors that we could talk to, and we do talk to and utilize, but they haven't been trained in this area to get down to the nitty gritty, and actually apply these practical strategies to making sure that you're doing your healing in a healthy, responsible way. And like I
Mm.
said, I think that if it wasn't something that God was okay with, it wouldn't exist. I
Yeah.
would be out of a job.
Right. And He wouldn't have called you to do it either, right?
Right,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's just so much power in someone being trained specifically, just like a specific type of neurosurgeon or, anesthesiologist. Like a therapist is somebody who is actually trained and knows the scientific pieces and things. They know the techniques to walk you through. They can hear and pinpoint things that people who aren't trained can't quite hear and pinpoint. And that's, I truly do. And I mean, we believe in coaches, right? Because coaches can pinpoint areas of your business and things like that you can work on. And I see a therapist as a mental coach, and I love
Exactly.
that.
That's literally what it is.
Yeah, you even refer to yourself, I think, as a mindset coach, almost to entrepreneurs. So yeah, no, thank you for sharing that insight. I really believe that's going to help some people start to receive the healing and the help that therapy really has to offer them.
Yeah, and I think that that has a spiritual component, in a sense of you really healing from past traumas and being more aware of yourself. That can allow you to grow even closer to God, in your relationship with Him. I think because you're more aware of who you are.
Hmm. Ooh, that is so good. That is so, so good. Yes. And the faith piece too, I think that we can get a little, when it comes to our mental health, we can be a little fanatical. Like we wouldn't, like you said, we wouldn't break our arm and just sit there and pray about it. We would actually do something to fix that arm. Or, if you're dealing with a disease or an illness, yes, we have that faith. God can heal us and He will, we will believe for that. But you can still take your medicine in the meantime, right? And
Right.
that's what I think, that's a way to look at therapy. It's medicine for your mind, right?
Absolutely. And He's provided this resource for you to use it.
Yes.
The
Yes.
same way He's provided, doctors. He's using people, He's using things to help you.
Yes.
And I saw, like, this is off script, but I saw this meme or something the other day, and it was like this person was just asking God to help them over and over again. They were like stranded on a boat or something, And all of these people were coming to help this man. And he's like, but I'm asking God to help me. I'm praying to God and he's not showing up. So then he died, he drowned. And God's like, what happened? He was like, I was asking you for help and you didn't come help me. And God was like, I sent this person, I sent that person, I sent resources along the way to save you. You just didn't take the heed to these resources. So yeah, I think they go together hand in hand. And it's time to activate that prayer life and that faith life with actually moving forward and getting a therapist.
Amen. And oh, I love that you gave that illustration, because there is we can get stuck in our expectations of how God can save and how God can deliver. But our God is an endless, unlimited, infinite
Yes.
God, right? And he can save you however he chooses to save you. He can save you with the jawbone of a donkey. You know what I mean? Like whatever he has up his sleeve, he can do. So we just have to recognize that there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Right.
And God has created that way, for us. So, yes, I love that. So I took a quote from your website and I just love this quote. I want to share this quote and I just kind of want to hear you talk a little bit more about how this came to being, because I think it's just so key for our mindset talk and this conversation around mindset. But on your website, you said, what you think, believe, say, and do when it comes to your business is what's keeping you from the life that you've envisioned living for years. It's not about how hard you hustle. It's all about the not so helpful things that you've been thinking and telling yourself about yourself. It's your mindset. And I love that definition. I tried to give a definition of mindset in episode 1, but I love this definition that you gave. It's the not so helpful things that you've been thinking and telling yourself about yourself. So tell us a little bit more about just how powerful and how, even subconscious, these things are going on in the back of your mind, but we don't realize how important it is to deal with them and not let them just be running rampant for years and years and years. And if we do, how that is detrimental to where we're really trying to go and what God has called us to do and produce in our lives.
Yes. You said it. You said it's kind of all on autopilot at this point, right? We've been thinking these ways for years, but we haven't actually taken out the time to really address them and face them, right? Like you said, these thoughts are flooding our minds, and they are there for a reason, right? They were placed there. We weren't born thinking these ways. We weren't born doubting ourselves and having, low self-esteem and feeling like we're not good enough. Somewhere along the way, things shifted for us, right? And it's really important to figure out, okay, why do I think, the ways that I do? Why do I behave in the way that I do? And that behavior, it stems from those belief patterns that have been adopted long time ago, right? But we just never take out the time to really think things through and figure out, okay, where does this belief come from? Is this helpful to me? Like, is this putting me in position to win, or is this keeping me stuck and stagnant in my business, in my relationships, wherever, in my finances? What is it about this way of thinking that's keeping me stuck? And it's really important that we get down to, like I said, getting down to that root and then figuring out, okay, how can I challenge this, right? If this is something that if we weren't born with, right? God didn't place these things in our spirits the same way I picked it up. I can put it down and I can unlearn it, right? But it takes work. It takes time. It's a process, the same way it took time for us to really get those thought patterns on autopilot. But it can be done. It can be done, but it takes us acknowledging that there's some belief systems that we have that aren't serving us. And therapy is a way to get down to that, right? Really getting someone else to pull it out of you, because it's so automatic for us. We sometimes don't even realize we're thinking these ways. I had someone today write down some of the things that they thought about themselves the list was endless: dumb, stupid, a bad daughter, a bad sister, ugly, reckless, trash, all of these words. And I'm like, what? So when she saw that list, when she actually did the exercise and actually really looked at it and it was like, I think this way about myself. She was like, but I actually don't really feel that these are true, but why do I think these things? So it's just my job to pull those things out of them. And in the realm of business, right, I think, like I said, the imposter syndrome, the perfectionism holding them back, fear of failure, fear of success, all of those things are preventing them from really living that life that God has called them to live and really fulfilling that purpose. And because of that, it's very imperative that we deal with that in order for us to live that life that we want to live and see for ourselves.
Yes.
We
Oh,
got to get out of our own way.
we have to. Like, I love that you said it's imperative. There's no way we're going to accomplish what God has for us to accomplish if we don't deal with this. And I really appreciate you bringing up the fact that it is work. I know that this is not like, you don't have clients come in for one session and they're just all the way together, right? So, somebody listening today, they might be like, okay, I know I need therapy. I know that this is something that I need, but I need to understand. Sometimes if you're anything like me, I need to kind of wrap my mind around like, okay, how long is this really going to take? How long? So, and I know everybody's different, but if you had to kind of give a feeling of the work involved and the length of time that will really help you, help people prepare their minds for a therapist, what would you say?
Well, I think that the work is something that's done, is a lifelong journey, right? The work. So whether you're working with someone or not, it's something that you should be doing consistently. Now, as far as working with a therapist on it, I have some people who work with me for a matter of 2-3 months. And then I have some people who have been with me for a year or two. And they're more so kind of like in maintenance mode now. We're like doing monthly check-ins just to make sure that they're staying on top of that work that they've done and making sure that they aren't going backwards. But it just depends on how willing you are to show up, right? So being honest and transparent with yourself first and foremost, and with your therapist or with someone else, a coach or whoever you hire to help you along the journey. You have to be honest and transparent, or you're not going to see any breakthrough. And then actually doing the work in between sessions. So I try to give my clients something actionable to take out of every single session and challenge them to really step outside of their comfort zones and step outside of those ways of thinking that they've been bound by for so long, so that they can see, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought, right? Or, this is something that I've been putting off for this long for a certain reason. I've been procrastinating on it, but I was able to do it. And so I think it just depends on the individual and how willing they are to show up and do that work. And like I said, being real, being transparent, utilizing the tools and techniques throughout their day-to-day lives and actually implementing on those things, I think is the biggest piece of it.
Mm, that's perfect. So you actually give them things that they can take home. And again, like you said, it's a lifestyle. Thank you for saying that. It is a lifestyle. There's no point that you're done with working on your mind, right? It's just ongoing maintenance. So thank you for that. And kind of in that same vein of like preparing, let's say somebody's listening who, they feel like therapy is kind of out of their reach due to budget reasons. So what are some recommendations you might have for them to manage their mindsets in the interrupt, like on their own, if there are like low-cost services or resources or books, or podcasts that you might recommend for that person who wants to start to do some of this therapeutic work, but doesn't feel like they can afford a therapist just yet?
Okay, I feel like journaling is a major tool and a part of the process, and that's something that's free. You can journal for free, because when you journal and see your thoughts written out, you become more self-aware. You're able to recognize some of the thought patterns that show up often for you when you're writing out your feelings and your thoughts. And then from there on, you're able to actually say, okay, Is this a helpful belief? Is this a helpful way of thinking? And if not, what are some shifts that need to happen here, right? So for instance, the idea that I'm an idiot or I'm not enough, right? I'm usually asking clients, okay, what makes someone an idiot? I'm also ultimately sometimes looking up definitions in session, right? I'm actually reading out what something is that they're labeling themselves as, and then they're like, wait, that doesn't sound like me. But you're the one labeling yourself as that. Now it doesn't sound like you. So, and that really challenging those thought patterns. So, okay, is this idea or is this thought realistic? Is this based off of facts or is this based off of feeling, right? Feelings are fleeting. A lot of times we're feeling things in the moment, right? But where's the evidence or the facts to back this thing up? The hardcore evidence. So utilizing a journal to really getting down to the nitty gritty of breaking that thought pattern down. Why am I procrastinating in my business? What's holding me back from launching this product or launching this service? And just literally talking yourself through it on paper. Because I think it hits a bit different when you see it.
Yes.
What else? I know that there's a resource called Open Path Collective where you can go if you don't have insurance or if there's providers in your area who don't take your insurance, you can go on Open Path Collective and work with someone on a sliding scale. You can also call around and ask if they have sliding scales where you will pay only a percentage of their full rates. So you can see if you can get therapy for a discounted rate, you know, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs sometimes don't have the benefits to, you know, manage those mental health needs. So looking on Open Path Collective and then utilizing your support network, I think could be very beneficial. Being honest and transparent with them and making sure the people that you're talking to, that their mindsets are elevated. They aren't people who are thinking small-minded or, you know, having negative opinions or complaining spirits. Making sure you are surrounding yourself with people who can pour into you, right? And who can really challenge your thinking when you say some of these things. What else? Podcasts. I think Therapy for Black Girls is a great podcast, a great resource. That podcast, you can also tune into my podcast, DFBG Mindset. I do a lot of interviews where I'm talking to business owners about some of the mental hurdles that they have dealt with along their journeys and really how they overcame them and things like that. So getting, you know, practical tools, other entrepreneurs. And I talked with Marlena, I have an episode with her, and she was able to get down to some of the things that she had to overcome along the way. And like I said, it is not an overnight journey, but if you're willing to just show up little by little on a daily basis, taking 5 minutes out of your day to do some retraining of the mind, the same way we're in the gym trying to build our physical muscle is the same way that we should be working on this muscle every single day, pouring ourselves into, you know, positive podcasts, sermons. I love Sarah Jakes Roberts and her sermons. They're very affirming for women, I think. And just pouring yourself with all of that positivity, pouring yourself into the word, staying connected with God. I think when we get stray away from God, that's when all of those things come up, those insecurities and that doubt. But when we're like this with him, we're unstoppable. Yeah. And us as Christians, we should be the most unstoppable, the most confident people on this earth because of what God has done for us, what he has said about us. We are children of the Most High. So why are we thinking anything less than? Why is that? I think Christians struggle. I see a lot of Christians struggle with mindset the most, and insecurities and doubt and fear. Why are we living in fear?
Yes. And I love that. I want to kind of end on that note too. I think that you're right there. So, you know, to that person listening who is still struggling, you know, how would you encourage them to believe, you know, that they can do this and that God has their back and all of those things? Just take us on out.
Encouraging them on and taking that leap.
Encouraging them that, just like you said, God, we of all people shouldn't be the ones struggling with our mindsets, you know? So I guess you kind of closed it out already, but if you have any further thoughts on that, please share those.
I mean, like I said, I think that just goes back into how connected are we to the source. You have to stay connected to the source because it's there where we get our strength, right? It's there in the word where we're getting those affirmations and getting those reminders of who we are as a people. So the moment you start feeling any other type of way, ask yourself, have I been praying? Have I been reading? Have I been meditating on his word? Have I been staying connected with the source? Because that's when the enemy tries to creep in and throw those little things out. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Why do you think you're valuable enough to do this business? Who are you to be telling people about starting businesses or finances or mental health, whatever it may be? You have to look out for those signs, right? You know, that it's nothing but the enemy, and you got to rebuke that. Like, I rebuke you, Satan. Like, God told me that I'm this, this, and this.
Period. That is.
So if you are, like, you know, really firm in your faith walk, like, you should be unstoppable, unshakable.
Amen.
That's all I got.
There you have it, folks.
That's all.
Yes. So, you know, Kristin, for those who are interested in potentially working with you for therapy or just connecting with you further, how can they get in touch with you?
All right. So I am on social media. I'm on Instagram. That's where I spend most of my time when I'm not busy with clients. I've been trying to, you know, create more content like I have been in the past, but I've been a little slow there, but I'm getting back into it this year. So Kristin Sutton, LPC on Instagram. That's KristinSutton, LPC. And also her therapy space is my practice Instagram. And I share like little nuggets there, little, you know, tips, inspiration, and things like that on that page as well. My podcast, the FBG Mindset, and my website, KristinSuttonLPC.com, and then my therapy website, hertherapyspace.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kristin. This conversation was amazing. I know in my soul that it is helping everybody who's listening right now. So I just appreciate you for taking the time to pour into us tonight. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me. This was a blessing. I think I was preaching to myself a little bit too.
Ain't that how it goes?
like it's time for me to show up some more. Right.
Yes, awesome. So there we have it.